Hey there, everyone, and welcome to Alchemy Guides. This is the first in many videos that we're going to be putting out to help you along in using the Alchemy platform. Today, we're going to talk about one of the more important things that I think of when getting started, and that is how to prep a game from A to Z as a GM. So we're going to be talking about going over the quick start guides and also how to make and import your own custom material into games. So with that being said, go ahead and grab some popcorn and let's jump right in. So let's say you just purchased something off of the Alchemy Marketplace. Well, how do I view it and how do I use it? You're going to go over to your Content Universes tab on the left side, and you'll see a bunch of stuff here load up. The first thing you'll see is that there's three things on top: the purchased and created and public. Right now, we're going to focus on purchased and created. And as you can see here in the purchased universe, 5e is the SRD, and that's loaded up for everybody. But I went ahead and purchased a few more, like Vaesen, Kinemancer, and Chepekku scenes. So in order to view my content, I'm going to go ahead and click on the Vaesen one and load it up. And when it loads up, you'll see a bunch of stuff pop up on screen. Namely, you'll see a bunch of cards kind of pull up on top. This is kind of like a library of books, if you will, a shelf. And these books kind of represent, or these icons represent, the different books that you can get on Alchemy. So for instance, I don't have these books, and you can see that they're locked behind a little lock there. But if I click into it, I can go and it'll shove me right into the marketplace area. Now, if I wanted to buy those, I could, but we already have the core rulebook enhanced edition to check out. Now, what is a universe? Well, you can kind of get to know it as where all of the media kind of lives for that specific book. Right here, starting off the bat, we have what is called articles. And these articles kind of emulate what the book is, but kind of separate them out so that it's easier to search through. Right here, you can see chapter 1 introduction. And when you click into it, it basically just loads up what would be in the PDF or what would be in the book. Images and links and everything like that are in here. And it's easy to navigate by just going over to the left-hand side, clicking one of these options, and it'll jump down to where it is in the document. What's really neat is that sometimes the publishers will allow us to sell the PDFs as well as the modules alongside them. So if you look at one of these books that I don't own, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a little tag right here that says PDF. That means that when you purchase the Alchemy version of this game, you'll also receive the PDF in tandem. So how do I find that PDF? Pretty easy. All you need to do is right click on that image and you'll see download PDF. Sometimes the publisher won't, and when you right click, it won't be there. Simple as that. Now, another way to do it is by simply clicking the three dots on the top right of the image and you'll get the same options. So when you are working your way through a universe, you'll see that there are different things here. You have articles, NPCs, pre-mades, handouts, items, actions, scenes, and even a bunch of assets for you to use within the core books. These assets can be anything from backgrounds for scenes, images, motion graphic backgrounds, motion overlays, maybe even music if you have the enhanced edition of the game. So there's a lot of different options that you can use in any way during your games. So this is already kind of pre-set up. As you can see, if you look through the articles, we're going to look for the game night thing, right? We're going to look for the one shot. And in this book specifically, the Dance of Dreams is the adventure that is placed within the book. Now, different books come with different adventures, obviously, but this is all the same. So the Dance of Dreams is already loaded up for us here, and you can see that it has links to different things, like maybe an article that is written about the society, so on and so forth. And there's many different things that you can see throughout this adventure. Now you can always go here on the left side and make your way through by just clicking on one of these bookmarks here that kind of just lead you around, or you can scroll through however you wish. Now, in game night, obviously, you want to make sure you read the entire adventure so that way you know what to do when the adventurers obviously are going to go off path, right? You need to be either able to lead them back on or, follow up with whatever they choose to do. Once you read through here and you say to yourself, you know what, I'm ready to play, but I kind of want my own custom stuff in there. I want to add my own pre-mades. Maybe there's an NPC that I really want to add into the game that's not in there. There are aspects of the game that you can tweak and move and do yourself, and we allow you to do that through universes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the top left, and we're going to go to our universe. And instead of purchased, I'm going to go to created. Now here, as you can see, I have a fresh and free account. This is, you're able to do all this on a free account as much as you want up until this point where you can create one universe of your own. Now, I'm going to click create universe, and a little card is going to pop up, and it's going to tell me, hey, what game system do you want to make this custom universe for? Well, we're going to do a Vaesen game, so I'm going to click Vaesen. That essentially activates the rules, the dice, and the theme for Vaesen along with whatever we want. Now we can name this whatever we want to, and we'll go with AG Custom Vaesen. Pretty original, right? And this slug just essentially says, how do you want to shorten that in areas where you don't want AG Custom Vaesen to show up everywhere? So we'll just say AG Custom Vaesen, AGCV. You can also add a background visual if you would like, or a logo that goes over top of that background visual. Once you load into your custom universe, you'll see that there's a bunch of stuff here that's very similar to the original universe. The thing that you'll see here, though, is that your module is untitled and it doesn't have an image. In order to change that, all you need to do is click the three dots or right-click and edit it. When you go into it, it allows you to rename it whatever you want, give it an ID or a description even. It also allows you to upload any kind of box art that you'd wish to make that little square show up with an image, and or give the header a background, which the header is the area above everything and kind of behind the little box arts. For the title, we'll just name it Vaesen Custom 1. The reason I name it Vaesen Custom 1 is because now that we've created this custom universe for Vaesen, we can make as many custom games for Vaesen in this one universe. The reason I say that is because these modules here, you can add more. And with these modules, think of them like books on a shelf. We have the original, which is our Vaesen module, and then all our custom books that go along with it. Now, why would you need custom books or additional? Well, let's say, for instance, you run several games within Vaesen, and in this game, you want it to take place in this area, have these articles, and these specific characters in it. You can have that separated in itself. Then you can have another Vaesen game with your own characters there, their own the backgrounds, the locations, and all that stuff, and maybe even certain assets for that specific game. So on and so forth, as many as you want or can fit in this universe. So right now we're going to deal with just this one, and this is where it becomes your custom playground. So here we have it activated so that it plays perfectly fine with Vaesen, and we can create our own articles. By creating our own articles, we'll just say custom Vaesen article, and we'll separate alchemy guides. You can also change the subheading there. Once you have custom Vaesen article, you can edit this article however you wish. Now, this does accept Markdown, just like it did in many different areas of alchemy. And by doing hashtag, header, you'll get this nice, big, bulky header. And then you can go double hashtag for a less bulky header, right? Header 2. And then you, of course, can go even 3 hashtags down and do header 3. And you can see that it gives you different ways of typing. And then, of course, typing normally gives you just your normal type. So here you can see it already with super easy hashtags. You can kind of separate it and make it look nice and everything like that. But it also accepts tables and images and links and all that good stuff that Markdown is known for. So now that we have this, you kind of scroll down and you can see that we can also upload a visual aspect behind this. So instead of these little stripes that you see here in the background, the faded stripes, you can put whatever image you want there. And so whenever they're reading and scrolling, it's nice and cool and it's all faded behind it. It looks really neat. Another thing you can do is add audio. so that while they are viewing the article, they have audio playing in the background. Gives it a more immersive feeling. Once you're all done, you can go to the top right and click done, and you can see here the actual edit, like the actual article and what it looks like without it being in edit mode. So you can see the header has a cool like gold underline. The subheader has a more transparent gray one. And then you can see also what that does for the left-hand side. You can use these headers to help navigate these articles however you wish. So if I click this second one, it'll lead us down the page until it finds that specific header. When you click out of it, you'll see your custom Vaesen article here, or whatever article that you're making. And we are now going to be able to search that article within the game itself. So if you have an article, maybe let's say there are some notes that you want to share, maybe there are certain aspects of your story that you want to share with your players, you can search those things up and give them to your players within the game. Moving on, we have custom NPCs, custom premades, and so on. Custom NPCs, really easy. All you need to do is hit create NPC. And when you do so, you'll be greeted with the system that you are currently in and their character sheet. Once you figure out and manipulate the character sheet however you wish, you can save that character. Let's go ahead and rename him Vaesen Custom NPC. That way we know we are finding the NPC once we get into the game. You see that it is saved here. Again, this is now loaded up into your custom game. Premades, same thing. You create a premade by selecting whatever you need to select in order to get to the character sheet. And then once selecting the character sheet, you can edit it however you wish. Going up and down, making sure they have everything they need, equipment, trackers, stats, and actions as you wish. Now, of course, you can, we'll put custom in front of this too, and take out that last name. That way it doesn't fill too much up. And now we know what we're looking for whenever we get to our custom characters. So we've made a custom article, custom NPCs, premades, handouts, and so on. They can be manipulated really easily if you have certain assets that have been added to the game. Assets are simply things that you can upload to the game, such as art, backgrounds, motion overlays, motion backgrounds, motion maps themselves, things like music and everything like that. So there are a ton of things you can upload as assets for the game. The reason we have this assets tab is because whenever you want to use those assets for anything, let's say for instance, a handout, when you create that handout and go to select the visual, if you have assets uploaded, then those assets will show up here in this visual. Otherwise, it'll just ask you to upload them. If you upload them, you can only upload it to this one specific spot. But if it's an asset, you can use that asset over and over again in different areas of your custom universe. Now you can name the handout whatever you want. We'll name it new Vaesen Custom Handout. And of course, we can find that handout whenever we are in our universe. Same thing applies for items, actions, and scenes. You create whatever you want, a custom item. You can create a custom action. And you can even create your own custom scenes. Now you can create the scene using an asset you've uploaded for a different background. You can also upload different motion effects, music, ambient sounds. There's encounter music. So music that whenever you get into an encounter, it swaps over immediately. So you don't even have to do anything but push a single button. And all of a sudden you're in a very combat-oriented or encounter-oriented music. Very cool with encounter ambiance and everything like that. Once you have all that set and create your custom Vaesen scene, then you'll have access to this in the game. And of course, you could also type in a subheading for scenes as well. There is a tactical area where you can add a map or anything that you'd wish for a tactical scene where maybe you can place tokens and stuff on. That is what's in the tactical area. Once we have everything kind of set here in the universe, you can see that we've added everything here on this bar. We're going to go ahead and start our game, and we're going to talk about how you can activate this universe and put everything that we've worked on into your game that you're going to play with your players. So go ahead and navigate back to the home page, and we're going to select Create New Game. When we create new game, it's going to default to the 5th edition system, but we are looking specifically for Vaesen. And if you look here, it'll automatically bring up what we have purchased for Vaesen. And right now we have the Vaesen core book. Now this is the Vaesen custom one that we just made as well, but we're actually trying to make sure that we get everything that the core book involves, which is the 12 scenes, music, and backgrounds and stuff like that. But we want to add on top of that the Vaesen core custom stuff that we made. So if you go over to the top here, you'll see quick start, and then you'll see custom. If you go over to custom, it will automatically show you the Vaesen universes, custom universes, or any extra books or anything like that that have to do with Vaesen. And you can see our AG custom Vaesen universe that we had. We want to activate that, and when we do, that brings in our articles, NPCs, premades, and everything that we just added into our custom universe. Now, as I had said before, I had also purchased some systemless universe stuff. Well, what is systemless universe? That means that you can use these things in any game at all. So instead of it having to be tied to your Vaesen universe, you can have things like the Kinemancer, which has motion graphic overlays, or Chepekku scenes, where you can pull a scene into any game possible. So now that I have all that stuff activated, I'm just going to click OK, and it's going to create our game using these aspects. Now I'll go ahead and retitle it to Alchemy Guides and click OK. When you click OK, it's going to lead you to this first scene. It's going to ask you if you want to select your microphone and your camera that you have active. But more importantly, you can see at the bottom where it says content warnings. Now, the game automatically has a few content warnings because it's basically what is this game about and the things that you could possibly run into just by talking about the book. You can affect those or change those later and make sure that those joining your game know exactly what they're getting into with any kind of content warnings. You can join the game, and once you do, it'll automatically pop up with summoning your party. Now you can use this link directly and just give it to your players. And if they have an account, they will automatically be able to join your game without doing anything else. It'll just prompt them to start creating their character or pick from the premates. We're going to talk about prepping for a game a little bit more before inviting our players just yet. So we'll go ahead and start playing. So we're greeted with this scene, but we want to make sure that we are bringing in all our custom stuff. If you forget to add that custom material when you're creating the game, you can always go back and add or take away certain aspects within the game itself. So if you go to the cog at the bottom and go to edit game, you can go to content up top, and it's the same exact tab where you can activate and deactivate any content. Now we've already done that, so we don't need to worry about it. Well, what I'll do is I'll scroll down all the way to add scene, and I want to bring in my custom scene that I created in my custom universe. When I click add scene, it's going to go through all of the content that I purchased, and it's going to bring in the custom content that I made. So here you'll see the Chepekku scene that I bought, but if you scroll down, you'll find AG custom Vaesen scene that we created. Clicking that and clicking OK will bring that scene into the game. Now, it's just that simple as when you want to create a scene as well. You can automatically click one that you've purchased, or you can create one directly from here as well. If you've purchased one, simply clicking on one and doing the same thing we just did will allow you to do it. If you need to switch scenes, just click it and then click play, or right click it and click play, and it'll switch scenes for you. So simple as that to bring in a custom scene. Now, there's a lot more custom stuff that we need to bring in, right? So if we go to tools, for instance, we can bring in our custom actions that we had made, or a custom action. Scroll down, you'll find it, and you click it and click OK. And then, lo and behold, you have your custom action that you created. If you want to bring in your custom handout you created, same exact thing. Scroll down, add handout, and you'll find your custom handout you made. Now, note that I'm bringing in all this custom stuff because I was well prepared and I was able to make all this stuff before the game. What happens when your players go off the rails and they just start doing stuff? Well, instead of bringing in all this custom content, you can actually create and make it on the fly. So instead of adding handout and clicking one, I just create handout right here. Same goes for scenes and actions and pretty much everything else. One thing you can do here is you can actually just add a tracker too. So for instance, if I wanted to add a tracker that I have only access to as a GM, I can create one that is maybe a countdown tracker. We'll say countdown timer even. Then you can make it either a bar, a pip, or tag picker, whatever you want. We'll say that we'll just leave it as a bar, and we'll say that it has 5 steps. When you click OK, it'll give you the countdown timer that you can manipulate here on this screen. Now, what's really neat is that you can even share this with your players and have them see this on their side as well. If you go to right-click it and share, if you have a bunch of players in this scene, it'll tell you who do you want to share it with. You can either share it with an individual person or you can share it with the whole group. Now, there's still custom NPCs that we need to add. So if we go to the top right, you'll see NPCs. And then you go over to the right even more, dead center, and you'll find Add NPC at the plus symbol here. By clicking that, you will be brought to the Add NPC modal, and you'll see the Vaesen custom NPC that we had already made. So we can easily bring him into any scene we want to by clicking the Add button, and then, of course, selecting how many of them we want to add to that scene. So we'll just click the one. And by clicking OK, it brings them into the scene, and you can see that they are just the same as they were whenever we created them in the universe. Now, this one, of course, was empty because we didn't fill out any of their stats, but you understand, if it was, it would be there. And by clicking play, of course, you can use the NPC. Now, what if we need to actually prep for our game? Well, let's go back to our scenes here. If there is a game or a pre-written content in your pre-written adventure in your book that you've purchased, such as The Dance of Dreams, you'll go over to that scene and you'll find several things. When you go over to that scene, first off, your NPCs should be full or filled with the NPCs in that adventure. So they should be here ready to go. All their stats and everything like that have already been preloaded for you, as well as the story. So you can click story and scroll down to have it on the side. That way you have this open and you can manipulate anything here on screen. Or if you're just using it to read or you want it to look a different way, you can right click it and click notes. And by clicking notes, it'll actually bring it up in the center of your screen and kind of blow it up and make it a little bit easier to read. Now, this way you can also click on different aspects within the actual document itself, and it will allow you to basically use pop-ups to kind of, again, read different articles. So for instance, that's the society article that was within this one, but I want to know a little bit more about the society, and I kind of read through this. Once I'm done there and I click the X, it'll exit out the whole thing, and I'm good to keep telling the story as I wish. Now, what happens when there is a battle map involved? Well, we need to talk about tactical mode. Up on the top right, we have tactical mode. And if you're the modal or the preloaded content that you have here is just a map and not actually like a battle map, you can turn the grid off and manipulate it however you wish by zooming and moving around. Right-clicking will give you a nice little distance meter, as well as holding the left click down will ping the map, and this will be available for all players as well. The one thing that isn't, though, is if you go over to the right hand, you'll find map phases. Now, if there is multiple maps in a scene, we have those loaded for you. So for instance, you have like the journey map. By clicking that, it will switch over to a different map, and you can, of course, tell the story from there. But what really I'm looking for here is the witch cat inn here. Now, this is no spoilers or anything like this for this adventure, so don't worry about it. We're just kind of talking about how to manipulate the maps. And for here, you can see that we have a basic map of this area. And if we want to run this campaign or run this game, I want to preemptively come in here and kind of populate this to make sure that it's the way it should look when the players actually get here. So instead of having everything visible, what I want to make sure is I want just the things that the players have access to visible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click cover all over here on the right hand side, and that will fill the map with Fog of War. Then what you'll do is you can find the add or erase fog button, and I'm going to erase this fog, and I can erase exactly what I want to in this area. So I want them maybe just to see this area, you know, and not the staff bedroom over there. If there's any area that you can see is showing and you don't want to, you can always add the fog back to wherever you need it to be. One cool little trick is if you hold Alt, it'll actually shrink your little circle there, so that way you can get a better or a more accurate area of removal and or addition of the fog. Now that we have all this area kind of the way we want it to be, where what is showing is what we want to be showing, what we want to do now is place down the NPCs, if there are any in the scene, you know, so that way the players can see them when they come to the area. What you can do is you can take them on the right hand side, you can drag them up to this area up top, and it will go from hidden to seen. So that means whenever I place a token down, it will actually be seen on the map by the player. Now, what's really neat is we can either have it seen by the player, or we can even preemptively load the map with invisible tokens. So for instance, let's say, for instance, Sophia over here was not supposed to be in the scene, or at least not supposed to be seen by the players. She's maybe invisible. Well, we can still drag her onto the scene so that way she's ready to be played if necessary. But because she's in this hidden area, she won't be visible to the players. When she's ready to be visible, if you right click her and click show, she will pop up on the map ready for the players to be seen, or ready for the players to see her. You can drag and drop any kind of tokens while they're here. And what's really nice about Alchemy is as long as the character has artwork or has anything in the artwork area, they will automatically have a token created for them. So all you need to do is right click, push token, and the token is made for you. You don't need to bring in an asset that has a artwork of a token, essentially. Yeah, and then if you want to play those characters during the game, you just simply click them and play them. And by doing so, that'll bring up all their stats and everything that they need to make rolls. What's really neat too is that you can right click any of the NPCs or right click anything like that and click send to journal. And by doing so, it puts it in the journal for the players to see. Now, right now, if the players click this, all they see is an image. That's it. But if I wanted them to see more like the character stats, for instance, maybe they have a follower, or maybe they have a pet or anything like that, you can actually share NPCs with those characters. So if you right click and you click share, this will give you the list of the active players in the game. By clicking their name and sharing, this will allow them to manipulate and use that token as if that was their character. Now, once I have all this, I have brought all my stuff here. I've set my map the way I want it to. I can kind of go back to the main scene, and I am fully ready to run my game. I've got my music, I've got my backgrounds, I brought in characters, I've done everything, but the players themselves haven't joined the game and they haven't got their characters. And one of the more important things is, well, having a character, right? So when they join a game, we're going to click this little plus symbol to bring someone in. You can do this also from the settings area, but we're going to bring my other account in here by inviting myself as a player. This is what the player will see. So if I click into that, the player joins the game and they are given these options. They can either create their character completely from scratch right here. Maybe this is good for like a session 0 and you just take this time to create a character, or you took the time like we did to make pre-mades. So we had a pre-made ready to go for them, and look at that, right off the bat, we have the custom character at the top here ready to go. So they can select this character. Now we also have a bunch of characters here for Vaesen and for other books as well. So if you don't want to make pre-mades, we still provide you with some pre-mades for you guys to get a quick start going. But what's really nice about the custom pre-mades and what's nice about the Vaesen pre-mades, Let's say, for instance, you are a GM who runs multiple games or multiple of the same games, professional GM or otherwise. If you make this custom character or custom pre-made, when the player selects this character, it creates a brand new character for that player. So that means they can manipulate that character sheet, they can do stuff, they can add equipment and mess with their stats and stuff, and it won't mess with that base pre-made, and you can continuously use that pre-made in other games as well. So if you have this all set up, like this beautiful custom universe with custom scenes and everything like that, you can use it over and over and over again without ever having to remake any of those assets. Really cool stuff. So they can just select that from there. The last one here is library, and library just means that they can actually, if they own those things, like for instance, if they purchased Vaesen, so they have access to the universe, they can actually create their own characters within their library before joining the game. And if they join the game, they can just go to their library and select that character again. But we just made a pre-made. Why wouldn't we use it? So we click the pre-made, or the player would click the pre-made, and there you go. The pre-made loads up, and you have everything you had already made in the pre-made section of the universe ready to go. And that is pretty much it. So with that, I hope you liked today's alchemy guide. We talked about articles, NPCs, pre-mades, handouts, and all that good stuff, and how to implement them in your game, whether it be custom material or pre-purchase that you've gotten off our marketplace. With that, I hope you can go ahead and take that to your players and give them an awesome game night. So thank you all so much for joining us. If you have any questions or anything like that, please do leave them in the comments below, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. Thank you all for joining me, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.